Hello, and welcome to the First Friday Recap, the place where you can catch up on all the highlights from each First Friday. Missed out on the fun? Don't worry, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Christina Hampton, and I will be taking you through a recap of our August First Friday, Black Widow. Let's take a closer look at this butt-kicking Avenger and check out some of the highlights. To kick things off for this First Friday, we had an amazing science demonstration called Brain Games that explored the relationship between sight, perception, and illusion. This was an acknowledgement of Black Widow's psychological conditioning in the Red Room and how the brain can be manipulated. We also had live First Friday trivia at the Energy Stage, all about our girl Natasha, as well as questions about venomous animals besides the Black Widow spider, and questions about martial arts, which Natasha is well versed in. We were also happy to welcome back Dan Cakes, who served up some Marvel Us pancake designs. A very special element for this First Friday were the rare Black Widow comics brought by our featured speaker on display just for the night. This included the Tales of Suspense comic, where Black Widow was first introduced to the world, and the Amazing Adventures comics, where Black Widow had her first title and solo series. Our building-wide game for the night was called Escape from the Red Room, which sent our guests around the building to solve various challenges to help the other Black Widows escape. We also played the Black Widow movie in our OmniMax theater at a special First Friday rate. Several local artists and crafters were back with a variety of Black Widow, Marvel, Avengers, and other superhero goodies. We had a great feature presentation from Dr. Dan Yazbek, one of our favorite speakers, and one who loves to come talk to our First Friday crowd. Dan took us on a journey to unravel the Black Widow's wicked web, where he explored Natasha Romanoff's secret origins with declassified information and behind-the-scenes intel on her evolution from Russian secret agent to one of America's Avengers. He looked at how her interactions with other Marvel heroes helped to shape the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We can always count on Dan to deliver his top 10 memes, and he had some great Black Widow examples for us.
So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We got special permission to open up the S.H.I.E.L.D. dossier on Natasha and to take a look at the content. So first we'll start looking at really how do we interpret these characters in ways that aren't just entertaining. The great thing about the world of the comic book superhero and the movies and the video games and the TV shows and the expanded universes is that they can be read as just nostalgic, good old-fashioned American entertainment. They're great for all ages, especially when Disney owns them. They're also, and I've talked to people who've worked on these films and worked on the video games and worked on the comics, and there's a special level of excellence you have to have, which is why since 2001, since the Avengers sort of showed up, we have had 9 different Black Widow comic series, all by different creative teams, all trying to out Black Widow each other. So that tells you there's a real competitive spirit there. So we've got the entertainment, we've got the artistry and the technical excellence, and then on top of that, we have my favorite thing, which is the interpretation. the representation, the fact that why is Black Widow so immensely popular in just about every medium available except for semaphore and smoke signals? Why does everyone love Black Widow so much? Because she's speaking to us now about things that we care about now, about things we're worried about now, about changes that we're interested in. All right. This is really how the Black Widow has looked over time. This is this is a splash page from a 1970s comic. And the sting of the widow, you can see there, she's on the top of the Brooklyn Bridge, which is pretty fantastic. It's pretty badass, right? Climb on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. She's up there with Spider-Man, Superman, and everybody else. And you can see her kicking much butt in the lower corners. But you see that face. And that is the face that Scarlett Johansson has perfectly immersed or transmuted into the film world. The Black Widow has a rich and romantic and tragic and beautiful and confusing past. And as much as she continues to fight forward for the good of democracy, for the good of humanity, for the good of the planet, whatever it's going to be, there's always that little tinge of sadness. Because she is an orphan. She was tortured in the Red Room. If we go back to the original version, she has lost her husband, right? That's sad. No matter what version of the husband you're going with. So there's always this sense of and I hate to use this line, but this is Stanley's great line, with great power comes great responsibility, but also a touch of sadness, of tragedy, and I think that's important to consider. All right, I promise there's not a lot of text in this, but I'll read this over so you can go through it. So, and some of this is from a really sharp online article, but this is that same dichotomy, that same binary I was telling you before, and the Black Widow perfectly embodies it. There's the individual female empowerment versus objectified control. So this is from the Ultimate Guide to Black Widow, one of those things you see in the Target lines, right? But this is how it opens, actually. So this is her. This is the original Black Widow. This is the first time the world sees her. You sent for me, comrade leader. So again, older, right? And she's a widow, and she's got the sort of the almost imperial Russian outfit, the fur, the bracelets, the glass. She looks more like Downton Abbey than she does more MCU, right? There's the first time we ever saw her, first cover she was ever on. It's sitting right here, too. And you can see she's directing the Crimson Dynamo, who is one of her possible husbands, to fight back at Iron Man. So there's your technology, my friend. There's your robot suit. But she's just kind of like the mastermind behind it all. And you can see, again, from the very beginning, the tight dress, the furs, the gloves, the pillbox hat. She's really designed as an older kind of widow-like character. In her next cover appearance in the next issue, she's developed she started to superpower herself. She has magnetic gloves that are so strong they can help her use a tank to beat up Iron Man, which is, we don't worry about reality in Marvel, right? That's not really where we're at. It's just not important. And she's an interesting villain, but no one ever planned on her to become a major character or player until we dress her up. Actually, until she meets Hawkeye. When she meets Hawkeye, she has her first real love interest and her first costume. And this is the greatest costume in the history of costumes, right? Right? I mean, that's iconic. That's like Batman, isn't it? That is a fishnet nightmare, right? The mask alone, right, would kill a healthy human. It's horrific. I don't know what, I think they knew they had to costume her, and I think they wanted to match her mask to match Hawkeye's originally. And that book is also here if you want to have a look at it later. And it just doesn't quite work. She leaves the Russians because she loves Hawkeye. So that's where we get that Hawkeye Black Widow tie-in the films in interesting ways. So we see we're saying goodbye to the fishnets here, thank God, all of the fishnet. And I love this panel. This is a transformative panel in Marvel history as well as Black Widow history. And it shows that a man can draw a powerful, beautiful superwoman in a way that is not objectifying. I think it's really interesting. And now that we've concluded one of the longest scene-setting introductions in comic book history, let's see if you can get our story going while you're still young enough to care. That's Stan Lee at his best. And that takes us to our memes. Number 10, Thor. Report on the Hulk. The gates of hell are filled with the screams of his victims. Black Widow's face says it all. Anyone have a plan? I have like 4. It can't involve murder. I got nothing then. He died of natural causes. Miss Romanoff, you kicked him off the roof. Gravity is natural. Me, studies extra hard for the math test. Me when I take it. This is nothing we were ever trained for. Boy, I lived that one. The moment you realize you're the only one without armor. When someone tells me I can't achieve something because I'm a woman, that's not up to you. Love that one. That's the bad haircut, too. No caption necessary. The only complaint I have about Black Widow is that it ends, and I'm right there with it. I think it's a masterful film. It's not the best Marvel film, but it's really close. Really, really close. You will have a great, especially in IMAX. Oh, you're all so lucky. I'm so jealous. All right. That moment when you sacrifice yourself for an orange rock to save half of the universe, but the only death they ever talk about is Tony Stark. And the ultimate version of that, the look on your face when you died too, and no one cares. And that's where we'll end.
Well, that is all for this First Friday recap. If you missed this First Friday, join us next month for our Nintendo Night on September 3rd. We are going to celebrate all things Nintendo with a Super Smash Bros. Playoff on our giant screen in the OmniMax and a giant NES controller competition in our Game XP gallery. We will be back again in the evening next month from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also, for those of you who collect our First Friday buttons, we will be releasing our First Friday from Home buttons in September. Grab an Office or Parks and Rec First Friday button, a Jurassic Park button, the Great Science Center Bake Off button, and more. First Fridays are back, y'all, and you don't want to miss it.